mo kí gbogbo ọmọ kóòtù òjìrè jákèjádò àgbáláyé mo kẹ́yìn olólùfẹ́ mi o a kú dédé àsìkò yìí Oòduà gbè wá kò ní gbin ọ̀dàlẹ̀ lágbára dẹ́dà ṣẹ̀dá ẹ̀yin ènìyàn mi Pastor Adeboye ti sọ̀rọ̀ sókè o Pastor Adeboye ti sọ̀rọ̀ sókè lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń lọ ṣe mọ̀ pé a sọ fún yín pé ìbẹ̀rù bójó òun ni ọ̀rẹ́ Donald Trump sí gbogbo àwọn olóṣèlú Nàìjíríà pátápátá ara ò wá rokùn ara ò rọ ẹdìyẹ mọ́ bẹ́lẹ̀ ṣe forí gbá ilé ìlélẹ̀ ìforí wọ́n ń sálura wọn lọ́wọ́ yìí ni wọn ò mọ bó ṣe yẹ kó wọ́n tiẹ̀ wọn ò mọ ọ̀nà tó lè gbégbà ẹ̀yin ènìyàn mi chief of army defence wa gan kọ́kọ́ jáde ó kọ́ defend Nàìjíríà pé kò sí genocide ní Nàìjíríà o kò sí ìpẹ̀yàrún Nàìjíríà o àwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà wọ́n rún mọ́ wọ́n kò bò ẹgbà tó tún yálà tó tún fọ́ra ẹ̀ jáde pé ẹ ó dáa tí abárẹ́ni tó fẹ́ wá rọ̀ wá lọ́wọ́ wẹ̀ a máa wẹ́kọ̀mù ẹ̀ pé ó káàbọ̀ ẹ̀yin ènìyàn mi ara ò rọkùn ara ò rẹ́dìyẹ wọn ìkòkò ọbẹ̀ wọn dàbí pé ó fẹ́ fọ́ lójú wọn ṣé lẹ́yìn ọ̀rẹ́ yìí náà ni gbogbo àwọn ọmọ kóòtù òjìrè gbogbo ọmọ Nàìjíríà tí wọ́n ṣe ń pera wọn ní Nàìjíríà ni wọ́n gbójú sókè ń wò pé àwọn religious leader wo mà tí ì sọ̀rọ̀ kí làwọn religious leader wa kí ni wọ́n wò pẹ̀lú gbogbo nǹkan tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́ yìí torí pé àwọn gangan náà mà fẹ́ gbèjà kí ló dé tí wọn ò fi ohùn ránṣẹ́ ìyàlẹ́nu ńlá ló jẹ́ ńgbà tá a rí tí bàbá wa Enoch Pastor Adeboye tí wọ́n fi ohùn ránṣẹ́ sí President Bola Ahmed Tinubu bàbá tiẹ̀ ó tún rán gbogbo Nàìjíríà létí wípé ìjẹ́ ẹ rántí ọ̀rọ̀ mi tí mo sọ ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ọdún yìí wípé afẹ́fẹ́ ó máa fẹ́ a lot of things ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀ láburú ó rán àwọn èèyàn létí olóhùn dẹ̀ tún sọ nínú ó rán wọn létí pé nínú fídíò yìí òun sọ ní sọ wípé àṣírí ńlá máa tú ẹ̀yin ènìyàn mi ó dà pé ibẹ̀ náà là ń lọ yìí o Pastor Adeboye ló pàkíyèsí àwọn èèyàn sí o pé ẹ jẹ́ ẹ rántí pé mo sọ ọ̀rọ̀ yìí rí ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi ẹ jẹ́ á farabalẹ̀ kẹjá jọ gbọ́ nǹkan tí bàbá wa Pastor Enoch Adeboye tí wọ́n sọ bàbá Oyedepo náà bàbá sọ̀rọ̀ fẹ́ẹ́rẹ́fẹ́ lẹ́nujọ́ méjì yìí o tẹ́ bá wo fídíò yìí tán tún wá ṣe gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ fresh ọ̀rọ̀ tí Gumi tún sọ jáde o ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ mi lẹ́yìn fídíò Pastor Adeboye mo bá yín gbà sí kẹ́ tún lè wo nǹkan tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ mi tó bá jẹ́ pé ìgbà àkọ́kọ́ rèé tẹ́ máa dé orí ìkànnì àrólé bàbá 1010 TV wa yìí ẹ subscribe síbẹ̀ kí ẹ̀yin náà lè máa gba notification ní gbogbo ìgbà tá a bá ti drop fídíò wa torí a ṣe ìlérí pé gbogbo tó bá lọ nílẹ̀ kóòtù òjìrè láàmà mú wa fún yín ní pàtàkì lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Oòduà nation wa tá à ń pariwo gbogbo ẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀ máa rí lórí ìkànnì wa yìí so ẹ jájọ pọ̀ sí kájọ kọ́mọlùbọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Oòduà rere gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá rere ẹ jájọ kọ́mọlùbọ́ o ẹ̀yin ènìyàn mi ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ mi ẹ share fídíò yìí tẹ́ bá wò tán o ẹ bá mi share fún gbogbo ọmọ kóòtù òjìrè tí wọ́n nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí orílẹ̀-èdè wọn ẹ̀yin èèyàn mi ẹ bá mi wo fídíò yìí.
Say what about what is on the ground? Well, I'm talking to you, my children. In my own usual quiet way, I had related to all the presidents who were around when this trouble started. What did you tell them? Whatever I discuss between me and the big ones is top privacy. I have done my best. quietly behind the scene. But as I've always told you, you can only advise the commander-in-chief. You can't command him. Because if you command the commander-in-chief, then you become the commander of the commander-in-chief. That doesn't make sense. But I've tried. And God is my witness. So then, I don't want to take much of your time. What should we do now? I'm talking to you as my children. If I were asked to make suggestions, I would say quietly to our government, move fast. Move diplomatically. Move wisely. Find a way to convince the President of Amerika to please delay his actions for about 100 days. And then come home and tell our security chiefs get rid of these terrorists within 90 days or resign. Now that, I'm sure, will sound familiar to those of you who have been following situation in Nigeria. There was a president, unfortunately, he's dead now, as Buhari, who issued such an order. Some of you will remember. Who called the service chief together and said, I give you 3 months. Get rid of all these Boko Haram people or resign. He's not around to tell you who gave him that advice. He ran with that advice, but he didn't follow it through. Because he gave the order as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. But, and I mean, the security operatives moved fast. The 3 months went, and the work was not done. So I went to see him. It was in the news, so this time somehow the press got to know that I visited him. Of course, they were not there when we talked. And unfortunately, like I said, he's not alive now. Or else I would have asked you to go and ask him. Sir, why didn't you follow through? Because when 3 months passed and the work wasn't done, why didn't you proceed with your, are we going to call it threat? I won't tell you the details, but one thing came out of that meeting. Which would lead me to my next advice to our government. In case there's any of you who can get across to them. That when giving orders to the service chief this time round, we should make it clear to them that they are not only to eliminate the terrorists, they should eliminate their sponsors. No matter how influential they may be. And when I say my people, when I say our leaders should move fast, move diplomatically, they have to be and move wisely. We must take note of the fact that if America should attack us, China is not coming to defend us. Russia will not come to defend us. All the so-called world leaders, they will talk. They will condemn what America had done in strongest terms. But that's all they will do. That's all. Britain is not going to come and help us. No foreign or no other foreign powers will come to our aid. This is not the time for joking. This is not the time for grammar. This is not the time for, I don't know a simple word for semantics. It's not the time when you begin to argue. Is it, what do you call it? Suicide, or what are they calling it? What's the language? Whatever they want to call it. And this is not the time for saying, not Christian alone. Muslims are also involved. The point is, people are dying. Innocent people are dying. I almost spoke last month when I heard the speech of my in-law, the president. When I heard the speech, particularly that section that spoke about security, and you can go and listen to it again, where I heard him say, all is well now, that displaced people have returned to their villages, and I almost said, the one who wrote that speech for my president, my in-law, does not like him. And if you want to say, what do you mean? Somebody wrote it, but it's the president who read it. Didn't he read it before he read it? Well, if you put it that way, then my conclusion will be, there are several people around my beloved in-law who are not telling him the truth. But that's all right, because, I think the following day in the newspapers we read about a traditional ruler being killed, whether in Kwara or Kogi, while the wife was hiding somewhere in the house. But it's not the time for apportioning blames. Our president inherited this problem. It started before him. And in any case, I am an applied mathematician. I am more interested, just get the problem solved. That's all. Let's let the government use diplomatic method to convince President Trump to give us 100 days of grace. Call our service chiefs. Fortunately, they are new. Perform within 3 months or resign. Now, where do you come in? You want to ask me, Daddy, you want to tell us you had no idea that something like this is coming? I told you I'm not a prophet. I only hear from God once in a while. But do you think I asked you to fast for 100 days for fun? Didn't I share with you, my children? Didn't I share with you that God said this will be a remarkable year? Didn't I share with you that God said that the wind that was blowing last year, that started blowing last year, is going to become a bit more violent this year? Did I tell you? Well, you know, each time we have a meeting like this, I'm not the one who chooses the theme. It's God. Whatever He asks me to talk on, that's what I talk on. Now, concerning what we are still discussing, by this time next week, we will be having a Holy Ghost service in Abuja. And when we were asking God what will be the theme, He gave us the theme, Fear Not. That's months ago, before Trump spoke. And anybody who knows the Bible knows that the only time God will say fear not is when there is something to fear. So, when I put all these things together, I know in this year that God says will be remarkable. One way or the other, there will be peace again in Nigeria. But why do I ask my government to move fast? See, all these years, we have been praying for Nigeria. We can't pray all these prayers without something happening. Unless God is no longer on His throne, and is on His throne. And you see, I'm saying it again. I'm a mathematician, an applied mathematician. And there is a law called Newton's law of motion. You know what it says? It says a body will remain at rest or maintain uniform motion in a straight line, except an external force compels it to do otherwise. That's Newton's law of motion. Meaning, whatever method God wants to use, at the end of it all, there will be peace in Nigeria again. And to you, my children, Daddy says, fear not. God bless you. Now, those of you who are workers, you have 30 minutes to go and ease yourself and return for your workers' meeting. This one is not workers' meeting. Workers. This one is message to my children. And the workers' meeting, we want to talk about the Congress. God bless you. I should see you in about 30 minutes. If you believe your tomorrow will be all right, let me hear you shout hallelujah.
American President Donald Trump say he will enter Nigeria with American military force to fight Boko Haram terrorists, terrorizing Christians in Nigeria, committing heinous crime, and committing genocide against Christians. Donald Trump never said he is invading Nigeria. Donald Trump never said he is coming to take Nigerian mineral resources or natural resources like some people are speculating. Donald Trump never said he is coming to invade Nigeria. Why are Nigerians unsettled? Why are pastors saying there is nothing like Christian genocide? Because I have watched 3 or 4 videos of Nigerian pastors insisting that there is nothing called Christian genocide. And why are Muslims, why are Northerners, why are they not comfortable with this development? Is there something they are not telling us? Pastor Adeboye is telling Tinubu to convince Donald Trump to delay military action in Nigeria for another 100 days. Is he indirectly telling us that he is facilitating or endorsing terrorists to continue terrorizing Christians? He said in this video that Tinubu should convince Donald Trump not to enter Nigeria yet. He should wait for 30 days. 30 days is 3 months and 10 days. And after he must have convinced Donald Trump, he will now enter Nigeria and give Nigerian military force, the service chiefs, ultimatum to clamp down on terrorists or Boko Haram for 90 days. Failing to do so, they should resign, tender their resignation letter. Is that the solution to this problem? Why is it that everybody is suddenly scared? I'm hearing mineral resources. America will take our natural resources. What natural resources? The one where Adeboye don't swallow. Natural resources where Tinubu and his family they enjoy. Natural resources where Wike and his family sit down on top. Why are we this wicked to ourselves? Why is it that Southern Christians are very selfish? As in, like I said, I have seen videos where their pastors. I have seen video of Wale Adefarasin of Light of Christ Guiding Light Assembly. I have seen another video of one prophet, Ayodele Abi, I say Oyedele, telling the church members that Nigeria is not having religion crisis. It is both Muslim and Christians they are buying. What are they covering? Pastor Adeboye, oh, you want American military to subpedal their military action in Nigeria to hold on for Nigeria military to fight the terrorism themselves. Okay, why is it that Nigeria military have not fought terrorism since this Boko Haram have been terrorizing Nigeria and Nigerian Christians specifically? I don't like the, you see, Nigerian Christians are very selfish. If una Redeem Church, then they bomb. And I have even seen a video where Redeem Church preacher for Abuja, I see how they carry stone that woman that time because she did do evangelism. They said that she committed blasphemy. And they throw stones. The church hide it so that they will not offend the Nigerian state. What are you people hiding? Did the American president say that he is coming to fight on our way Nigerians? Una no want to make terrorism end for that contraption? Why are you people hiding this terrorists? You are giving them another opportunity to continue invading these villages and burning down churches. You see, right now for Nigeria, the only pastor where I recognize on this Reverend Bishop Ezekiel Dachomo. This Reverend Father that raised his voice. Is his voice that attracted this Donald Trump now weighing into the matter where concern Nigeria. It's his voice that drew international attention. This Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo. He's not behaving like other pastors that are interested in tithe and offering, sow seed. While other pastors sit down for their church, they receive AC, they drive Rolls-Royce Phantom and G-Wagon, they live expensive life, they wear expensive suit. This reverend, they bury in church members for Plateau State. He is the one that entered the grave and was crying, saying, Donald Trump, come and save us. After he must have finished calling Donald Trump, una come they tell and say, Una come they tell the same Donald Trump, may he no come. May he wait for 100 days. The same military we don't compromise. Nigerian military is heavily compromised and they have been infiltrated with Fulani, terrorist, Islamist, extremists. Yes, with Boko Haram. Nigerian military is half Boko Haram and half with the other ones. And the other ones are not sure say they go leave the next day. Oh, you want America to leave fighting terrorism in the hands of the same Nigeria, the same Nigeria military that always collude with the terrorists in Nigeria, right? This is not Christianity. Kano don't close their mouth. Christian Association of Nigeria don't close their mouth. Pastors are hiding. They don't want to come out to say, oh, there is Christian genocide. You don't want America to come and help you to fight what you couldn't fight for many years of your life. Una day wicked. Una day very, very wicked. Like I said, the only pastor right now where I recognize now, this is Ezekiel Edachomo and one other Elsa Elboba of Plateau State. Those northern Christians, pastors, he look like in them they speak truth. The ones where they for South just they enjoy AC and G-Wagon. So Adeboye, Pastor Adeboye wants 100 days more. 100 days more to not give Fulani an easy leeway to continue by buying Christians for northern Nigeria. Hey, are you telling me that if this is Jesus Christ, he will wait for Christians to be wiped away, his followers to be wiped away, before he will now come and intervene? Before he will now come and say, no, enough is enough. 100 days. America should not enter Nigeria 100 days. But they will pay a tithe and offering for this 100 days. They will sow seed for another 100 days. They will do sowing of seed and the paying of whom we hear God to say, they will pay it for 100 days. But it's bad for military action, American military action, to immediately swing into action and clamp down on those Boko Haram who say Christians no go stay alive. It's bad for them to come immediately. But it's not bad for them to pay tithe and offering. They know they postponed that one, but they should postpone military action, American military action in Nigeria. May una fear God. May una fear God. Awukwa chiku ka na-efe ihe. Awuzukwa ka soso chiku ka na-efe ihe. Onye buru ozu onye ozo duko ikwunko. If another person carry the body of a person when no be brother, it could be like say, oh, you carry log of food. Man, you buru nkegu or no wutegu. Man, you buru nko onye ozo oduko kibu log of food. May una fear God. This is not Christianity. America must enter Nigeria. Donald Trump must enter Nigeria. American military, Donald Trump doesn't need to physically or literally enter Nigeria like, enter. Now military go enter. And they go come with the airstrike. They go come with the foot soldiers. And they will come different way, through marine, through ocean, through air. They must clamp down on those Boko Haram where they groom for naught. Nigeria, if you don't tire, may use a pen knife. Separate and may everybody go. May now go there by yourself for that northern Nigeria, where they share country with. This is not Christianity.
You mentioned earlier that the bandits, the terrorists, needs convincing, and we all know the havoc they've created, in the society in Nigeria. They've raped women, they've killed lives, they've destroyed properties. So do we really need, do the government really need to convince these terrorists at this point? Because we've seen the cases of repentant Boko Haram, we've seen the cases of dialogue. So is convincing what is needed from between the government and the terrorists right now?
Okay, sorry, please to cut you. You see, the former governor of Bauchi State, Yuguda, was able also to go with government delegation into the bush, and they met more than 5,000 bandits. They were all complaining. Those who have lost their parents, those who have lost their brethren, those from our hostility too. So when you say they have killed, yes, I know they have killed, and it's wrong to kill anybody innocent. This is absolutely an obnoxious thing to do. We don't support that. But you see, if you know their psychology, they are on a revenge mission. Everybody knows the herdsmen, especially the Fulani herdsmen. They don't just attack people. We have been living with them for centuries. They don't attack people without any cause. So what I think government needs to do is to really bring them up together in a unison and in a holistic form, so that there is peace. And they are ready for that, because if you call them for peace, they come. It's unlike the others, like IPOB. IPOB, the government has been trying to dialogue with them. They still refuse. They are still behind creating separate states. They're secessionists. Besides being terrorists, they're secessionists. Well, these people are not secessionists. They want peace. They call for it. In fact, they even invited a lot of media. I think Daily Trust is high time it really goes into the bush and have, although they did it before, and the former government prevented it from airing it on air. So why is government afraid of listening to these people? They just want to demonize them and give reasons to come in and divide us and cause mayhem in Nigeria and divide the tribes, like what is happening in Sudan now.
Quickly, maybe you'd like to react to some of the things that have been said, but my question to you also is, where have we been getting it wrong as a nation? Why are we still having this conversation even after many years and several efforts?
One of the key reasons why we are getting it wrong is because of people like Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi. In a clear case of a war, because he's talking about bloodshed, there has been bloodshed. Nigeria has been a theater of war for almost 2 decades. Possibly it is not affecting him directly because most of the casualties, most of the mass murders is that of Christians. He appears to be a negotiator, but to be very honest with you, he has advocated more for appeasing the terrorists rather than advocating justice for the victims. And I think it's important to us because I believe he's an Islamic cleric. He understands the concept of justice. How do you deal with a scenario of people raping women, people killing soldiers, people decimating homes, people sacking communities, but then the strength of your advocacy is that the government should appease them? Where in the whole world, in the history of any war, whether guerrilla warfare, whether military warfare, have you ever found a situation where there is an active bloodshed going on and then you believe that appeasing the criminals that are carrying out these genocidal attacks and infusing them into the military will help? From the very beginning, when the notion of amnesty, de-radicalization and integration began, we have never seen a scenario where these repentant terrorists, as they call them repentant, have ever led people to their camps and they were decimated. They have been growing exponentially. They have been acquiring more arms. So that is basically the problem we are having. We are getting it wrong simply because we have managed to create a false narrative. An example is we have managed to compartmentalize terrorism or these Islamist activities to look as if it is only Boko Haram that is doing it. The reason is because the rest of the terrorist groups that are jihadist in nature have been forged into different names. For instance, he's talking about two fighting. There is no two fighting anywhere. It is important also, we would love it if you are able to have an example of one Christian militia that is operational in either Sokoto or any of the Muslim dominant state that have been raping women and killing people, then we can understand that. And at least the Muslims will equally lend their voice and say, okay, whatever it is the Americans are claiming that the Christians are suffering from, we are also suffering from it. And since it is all about eradicating terrorism, then good, come and eradicate them. But I think the problem is not just because there are foot soldiers who are killing people. It is because there are people who are sympathetic to the jihadist cause, there are people who are sponsoring them, and the involvement of any foreign nation in a scenario where there is a genocide does not end with the foot soldiers. It traces those who are sympathetic to their cause, whether because of political or religious or ideological beliefs. It equally traces those who sponsor them. And I think that is primarily where the problem lies in Nigeria. We are not sincere with the war against terrorism. Once it involves, because wherever you go to, we can't force ourselves. Most of the time, you find a lot of Muslims claiming that these people, they are not truly representing Islam and all of that, blah, 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 and all of that. But the truth is that there is an Islamist, well-armed Islamist jihadist group that has been massacring Christians. And what we find, unfortunately, people who should be speaking or condemning this act are busy trying as much as possible to create sympathy for them. You can imagine him saying that killing the terrorists will now amount to genocide. Then what would you tell the people that have been burying there? For instance, just of late in Yelewata, over 250 people were killed. But he describes that not as a genocide. He says two fighting, even though we don't know of...
All right, Zari Yusuf. I mean, we are really trying...
I want to tell you that the agreement between the British and the Fulani has collapsed. And the only person that collapsed it is Trump. I want the world to understand this.
wetin you dey wait for? If you never subscribe to Arole Baba 1010 Media and TV, you dey miss street gist.